What does it take to get out of your own way? As we are ready and we are prepping and we're getting ready for our How to Get What You Want method 5-day workshop. Here's what I want you to think about. What does it take to finally get out of your own way? What does it really look like? What does it really take for us to be able to say, okay, I can see things that are stopping me or that are blocking me, or what is it really going to take for me to get out of my own way? Well, I want us to start here. All right. Here's where I want us to start. Uh, I think one of the main tools that we have to keep in our tool belt, okay, one of the main tools you need to keep in your tool belt as you uncover this journey of discovering who you are, getting the clearest picture of who you are as a person, is we got to get to the place where we got to go. Here's some 3 things we got to stop doing. Okay, get your pen and paper out, make notes of these. In order for us to finally get out of our own way, number 1 is we've got to stop apologizing for who you are. You got to stop walking into scenarios thinking, I've got to apologize for who I am because I got to make sure that I don't offend anybody by being me. I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of people that I talk to that feel this almost overwhelming need to apologize for who they are before they start, which is impeding them. It's stopping you from getting to the place that you want to go, from doing the things that you want to do, because we are apologizing for who we are before we ever start. And I think it's really interesting to think about, are you apologizing for who you are before you even have a chance to apologize for what you do? Isn't it really interesting? How often we can find ourselves apologizing for who we are. And what I mean by that is like us, the person, us, the individual, us, the human. We're apologizing for who we are before we've ever taken any action, which means we are consistently selling ourselves short for what we can do, what we should do, what we need to do, what we might do, what we want to do. Heaven forbid we actually do something that we want. We inevitably start apologizing for ourselves. We apologize for the person we are before we start. Now, you may be listening to this and you may be going, Rocky, I don't apologize for who I am. I would ask you to think about the actions that you're taking, though, before you do something. When you walk into a room, you're looking, you're assessing who's here, who's not. You're at a networking event, you're meeting your boss, you're out for drinks or whatever it is. You're going on a date. You're going on a date with your spouse or your partner. Do we find ourselves apologizing for who we are before we start? It's one of the number 1 impeding things that's keeping us from getting to where we want to go. Number 2, my question for you is, you got to stop giving disclaimers that discredit who you are. They sound like this. This might sound dumb, but like I know this is kind of silly, but okay, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but do you notice how in each of those disclaimers, what we are consistently doing is that we're making an excuse for what we're about to do. We follow that up with but, and then we try to say something next. And whatever we say next has already been discounted by the thing that we said previously. When we are giving out disclaimers that discredit who we are, we never allow ourselves the opportunity to engage with others or to engage with ourselves in a way that is true and genuine to us, simply because we're apologizing. We're apologizing before we start. And we're apologizing before we start because we feel this need to give a disclaimer about who we are. Number 1 thing that is keeping us from that keeps us in our own way is that we apologize for who we are. Before we start, we have this internal mentality that says, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then secondly, the second thing that's preventing us, that keeps us in our way, right, is that we give out disclaimers that discredit us before we even begin. My question to you is to ask yourself, what are the disclaimers that you're potentially giving? What are the disclaimers that you're potentially throwing out there that are keeping you from getting to the place that you want to be, that are keeping you in your own way because you consistently give a disclaimer? Hey, I'm really sorry. Hey, I know this is going to be dumb. Hey, this may sound stupid. Hey, I don't really know. I'm not sure. I feel like I should know. No one ever, questions are amazing. Asking questions are amazing. Admitting out loud, hey, I don't know something, amazing. Most of the time, however, we don't allow ourselves to ask the question because we apologize for even having one before we start. And many of you are not even getting to the place to where you're asking the question. You have already sold yourself short before you get to the place to even ask the question. Why? Why are you giving out disclaimers to discredit yourself? Why are you apologizing for who you are? I think for many of you, it's because we lack the language to really know who you are. Part of the reason so many of us, we give out disclaimers, part of the reason so many of us apologize, part of the reason I believe you are apologizing, part of the reason that you are giving out disclaimers before you ever begin is because you lack the language about who you are. You lack the clarity about who you are. So when it comes time to take action, our confidence is zero before we ever begin. So you apologize before you begin in order to cover your tracks in case anybody may be upset, mad, or offended. You can say, well, at least I told you so. At least I told you I was an idiot before you could tell me you were an idiot. And therefore, I'm going to protect myself. You ever find yourself protecting yourself? You ever find yourself with disclaimers and discrediting who you are as a means to keep yourself safe? What are you trying to keep safe? What are you trying to protect me from? Maybe a better question is, what are you trying to protect you from? Saying something dumb? Looking dumb? Feeling dumb? Assuming somebody thinks that you're dumb? We tend to find ourselves in our own way. I think. Let me rephrase that. You tend to get in your own way because you are trying to protect yourself from something that has not yet happened. And we are hoping that if you can keep the bad out, that is better than potentially allowing the good in. I'm going to say that to you again because I really want you to think about this. In your life, are you expending more energy to simply keep the bad away than you are actively pursuing bringing the good in? When we discredit ourselves, when we discount ourselves, when you apologize for who you are, that's what happens. And so, how do we cultivate this idea? How do we cultivate our desire to say, we're not going to apologize? I want you to ask yourself this question. How can you stop apologizing? How do you stop discrediting yourself? I would suggest for you that you begin by asking yourself this question. Where am I discrediting myself? Where do I apologize? What are all the bad things that I'm trying to keep away? And how are all the bad things I'm trying to keep away preventing me from allowing any of the good things to come in? When we do not allow ourselves to have a clarity of who we are, we do that through identity mapping. It's a wonderful process and method. It's got a decade of experience and expertise in it that allows you to create a language for who you are. When you lack the language for who you are, we are constantly apologizing for something we are not because we are unsure of what it is we're actually bringing to the table. Number two, when we lack confidence, confidence is not this overarching, boastful, prideful, arrogant, look at me, I'm amazing. Confidence is simply the belief that you are good without identity mapping, without the lack of, or without the idea, the knowledge of who you are. It is difficult to look in the mirror and believe that you are good. So we go through a method called the imposter within. It allows us to navigate and say, stories told to me, stories told about me, fear, doubt, lie, truth. We can see all of those pieces inside. When we have a clear language of who we are, when we have a clear understanding of what makes us good and valuable, when we have a clear idea about where we are going, own it, define it, admit it. What do you really want? What do you actually want in life? When I say get what you want, I'm not talking about pipe dream. I'm not talking about the ethereal win the lottery and everything is wonderful. That's not real life. Real life is saying, what do you really want? What does life really look like for you? What do you really want? And are you doing something to pursue the thing that you really want? How can you stop discrediting who you are, discounting who you are, and apologizing for who you are so that you can actually get out of your own way and build a life that you want? You need a clear picture of who you are, identity mapping. You need a clear knowledge of what makes you valuable, the imposter within. You need to know exactly where you're going, what you're doing, and what that looks like. That's the ability for us to say, what is the daily mindset that allows me to take daily action towards a long-term picture of what I really want to do, see, and know, and become in my life. Monday, February the 19th. 12 o'clock Central, 12 p.m. Central, 100% free, 10 years of experience, 10 years of coaching, 10 years of consulting, 10 years of speaking to tens of thousands of people. All of that is available for you for free. Day one is going to be escaping the shoulds, building a life and a foundation you really love. I sent a text out this morning to about 1,000 people, and I had over 100 people reply back and say, yes, I struggle with the shoulds. Do you struggle with the shoulds? If so, we would love to have you. Monday, February the 19th at noon. In order for us to finally get out of our own way, stop discrediting who you are, stop discounting who you are, stop apologizing for who you are, and get a clear language about what makes you valuable and unique, understanding that you are good in a daily action plan to put it together to build a life you actually want. I deeply appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you soon.